6. I do remember that. Huh?
It happened back in the day, Sandra. We used to write things out on legal pads at longhand.
That's when.
And if we wanted to cut and paste, we literally had to cut and paste.
That's why commission decisions. That's why commission decisions were 10 pages rather than 100. Because you had to go to the library and cut and paste it. Yeah, the correcting selector, the greatest machine ever made. Because in those days you had to wait out, and so if you were going to make changes,
Kind of signal.
then the secretaries actually ruled the partners. Because there's one, Pat, I can't remember her last name, for Bellotti, she'd say, okay, you got 20 spaces, 3 words, that's it. And they go through what they could put in there. Because it couldn't, I mean, otherwise she'd have to retype the whole page, and she wasn't going to do that. And when I started, mimeograph machine, no Xerox, mimeograph.
Oh, and fax machines that took like 5 minutes to spit out one page.
300 baud modems, try that for 90 page trees. Yeah, the dark ages. We survived somehow.
Yeah. And we
Things
didn't
got
even
done.
have cell phones back then.
We got things done. I don't know how. Yeah. I did not, I was not around when there was a quill pen. We did have pens.
But no, Jim had the only computer in the room for a long time, and then he had 2 screens.
I had a 1088. First one IBM made.
And it had this,
1983.
he had this aqua blue phone that we called the bat phone.
2 pagers. My sister. Who's that? It was fun thinking back.
Then when we all got computers, we were like, what are we gonna do? You know, now it's like if I computer goes down, like, well, you can't really, everything you need is on the computer. Yeah. Yeah, problems are a lot smaller these days, I know.
Just don't start crying. Or talk or anything. Yeah, I know that feeling.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is 1 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting of the Delaware Public Service Commission to order, please. The first item I would like to present is Commissioner Correa, who has a message for us.
In the Bay, I'm sure many of people here and other areas have received this pipeline public awareness. It's a kind of a safety brochure from Chesapeake Utility. And by reading through, the more and more I read it, I realize that these kind of things are very, very useful to customers, people, and everyone. And even though I don't get it, we don't have, personally I don't have gas pipeline. But it's very important and useful. So I wanted to congratulate Chesapeake Utility. I don't see them here, but wanted to bring this to everyone's attention and wanted to congratulate them. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you very much. Today we have 2 commissioners on the telephone. Okay, Chair Winslow is on the phone, and so is Commissioner Gregg. The first thing we'd like to do is the reading of the minutes. Does anybody have any corrections or additions? All right, we will need a motion. Commissioner Drexler,
Motion to approve the minutes of the October 12th meeting as presented.
I second the motion.
any questions on the motion? All those in favor? I'm going to call the names. Chair Winslow,
Aye.
Commissioner Gray,
Aye.
Commissioner Correa,
Aye.
Commissioner Drexler,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Thank you very much. The next thing on the agenda is the presentation by Artesian Water Company, the state of the company. We have Nicole Taylor and Dave Spate.
Thank you. Think somebody should have bring the slides up. I'm not quite sure.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. And I understand in the interest of time, I think you guys have a very full schedule today, so Dave and I are going to try to get through our presentation quickly, and we do appreciate the opportunity to be before you here today. Thank you for that introduction. I'm Nikki. I'm president of the water company, and Dave is our CFO and president of our wastewater division. We're going to tag team here today. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to get started here.
There you go. You gotta move it, yeah.
Is it better? Okay, just quickly, we will be making a few forward-looking statements today, and our results may differ slightly from what our expectations are.
Not going as fast as we thought, did we?
Modern technology.
I can go like an auctioneer if you'd like.
There we go. There we
There
go.
we go. Okay.
Go back one.
Okay. Quickly, our parent company, Artesian Resource Corporation, trades on the NASDAQ exchange. We actually had our 25th listing anniversary just last year. We were included in the Russell Index in 2009, which greatly helped to increase our trading volumes. And as of the date of the slide, we had a market cap of just under $500 million. We do share 250 employees over our 3 regulated subsidiaries. In addition to providing great service and quality water and wastewater services to our customers, we strive to be great corporate citizens and environmental stewards. Oops, there we go. Our culture supports and promotes a community engagement and volunteerism throughout our organization. And on the slide here, you'll just see several of the organizations we do support. Here's just a few more. We do an annual golf outing. And over the last 11 years, we've raised over $600,000 with the help of our friends, vendors, and other business partners to support these charities. Our employees are our most important assets. We have many long-term, talented, dedicated staff, and we highlight just a few of them here. Top picture, you see Jeff Price. He won the Chesapeake Section AWWA Operator of the Year Award in 2020. And just this year, Horace Brown won the Delaware Rural Water Association Wastewater Operator of the Year Award. And that bottom picture there is Anthony Gaspar, who just recently won a Top Ops Challenge Award and assembled a water meter in 53 seconds, which is quite entertaining to watch. Okay, here's just a list of other community projects that we're involved in, and I'll pass through that. We're also members of several trade-specific organizations. We collaborate with other industry leaders to learn and share best practices. And I have the honor myself this year to serve as the current chair of the National Association of Water Companies, which is a national trade association which promotes the role of private water and wastewater in helping to solve our nation's infrastructure challenges. NAWC is helping to drive the conversation around topics such as water equity for all consumers and accountabilities for all water utilities, both private and municipal. Everyone should have access to safe, reliable water, no matter what your zip code is. Just a quick update here. Little step back. Our COVID response. We're an essential business. We deliver a life-sustaining product. Service needs to continue regardless of what's going on in the world around us. So when we went into lockdown in 2020, we had to react fast. Our IT department that stepped up to the challenge and virtually got us all set up on VPN access over the course of a weekend, all of our non-operations personnel, so we were able to continue our jobs from home. Obviously, our outside folks couldn't do that, so we had to reorganize and put folks into smaller crews and find other ways to get them to work safely while socially distancing. Just another quick here. I guess the most important thing I wanted to put out on this slide, we do know that several of our customers had, experienced financial difficulties just like everyone else through this time frame, and our customer service reps went through great lengths to try to educate our customers and to point and direct them to some of these programs that were available. And we worked very closely with Drew to actually help get messages out to get some assistance to folks who need it, so I do appreciate that, Drew. The customer experience. So what are some of the things that we do to provide the best experience for our customers? I think one thing is we're very local. Our call center is local. After one prompt, you can get on the phone and talk directly to a person. I think people really appreciate that. All of our operations and maintenance crews are local. So our repairs and emergencies are handled by local employees that can react much quicker. We have bilingual service reps, and we also still offer an in-person option for our customers that come in to the lobby to talk directly to a service rep or pay a bill. And we're always looking for ways to improve efficiencies and provide a better experience. We have 43% of our customers currently enrolled in e-billing. It's great for the environment. There's less paper waste, and it's much more efficient. And we do process about half of our payments every month electronically through the IVR online and ACH. And right now we are piloting a program to allow our customers to pay by text. The picture you see here is the Artesian Command Center. It's staffed 365 days a year. Our customers can reach our dispatchers 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our dispatchers and operations and maintenance staff work around the clock, and they're continually monitoring our system through our SCADA network just to ensure that everything is working properly. Emergency response planning. Emergency response planning is important for all businesses, but even more so for utilities, as our services are essential for public health and safety. We have we have several elevated assurance tanks throughout our system. We have about 2 days of supply in the air, which allows us to continue to serve our customers and have enough pressure to provide fire protection in the event of an extended power outage. We also have backup generators at all of our large water facilities as well as our wastewater facilities. Cybersecurity. We remain focused on cybersecurity. We work diligently to help protect our systems from potential threats. All of our employees are required to do monthly online training, and we test them frequently for phishing exercises. We employ outside vendors to do penetration testing on our systems, and we work continuously to keep our SCADA systems safe and as free from threats as possible. We also are members of Water ISAC, which is a consortium of water industry professionals and certain government agencies working together to share information and best practices and provide alerts specifically related to water and wastewater sector threats. Excuse me. Click. And this is very important. As I mentioned before, our employees are our greatest asset, and their safety at work is paramount. We live and breathe a culture of safety at Artesian. We want our customers to come home happy and healthy every day. So we provide them the proper training and the personal protective equipment they need to ensure that this happens. Here's just a sampling of some of the training we provide. And if you notice in the bottom of the slide there, we have a low EMR rating. And for those of you who may not know what that is, it's an experience modification rating. It's a measurement, which is a tool for workers' comp insurance companies to help rank their risk, and anything under a 1 is considered good. So we're very proud of our 0.54 rating. We're one of the lowest in the state. have a large group of bright and talented team members, so we have to keep them engaged and motivated and challenged if we want to retain them. We have developed an in-house leadership development program that helps our employees gain and improve skills that they need to succeed as they advance in their careers. We also ensure that our employees have the adequate time they need for continuing education, so they can remain current on all their individual certifications and licenses. And I think that I'm going to turn it over to Dave real quick to give a few updated slides on the wastewater.
Thank you. And that's a great job of talking about our shared services between our parent company Resources that gives all, oh, you can put that back up. Or did I take it off? There you go. No, I didn't touch anything. And I'm going to talk about the operational aspects of the wastewater company. It's been a long time since we've been before the commission. A lot of things have happened, so I just want to go quickly through some history and where we are today. So Artesian Wastewater Management Company, prior to the recent acquisition, was about 3,400 customers. We are serving our residents at about $2.79 per day. Very affordable and very in line with service providers of this type. We are a company in transition, and that's what I'm going to talk through for the next couple of minutes with you, to talk about where we were in terms of how we were built. And we were built through developmental systems. Each system basically was built to serve a specific development, and usually a developer was involved with building that system and contributing it to the wastewater company. Here are the 4 plants that were grown just that way. Stonewater was our first, and it was to be one of our larger facilities anchoring the southern end of our system. But they are mostly smaller systems, with the largest being the 250,000 gallon per day, smallest being about 30,000 gallons per day. And they were not designed to do much expansion, mostly close neighborhood developments. We learned early on that having small systems and keeping them that way was expensive and would ultimately not benefit the customer in the long run. So we learned how to put systems together and tried to create the backbone, which is now our fully integrated and interconnected system, much in the way we had done northern Newcastle County with our water systems, to bring resiliency, to bring a proper service to our customers so it was uninterrupted and they could rely on us being there to serve the customer. The backbone really runs in this system, which is Georgetown to Lewis. If you think about the area that we're serving west of the Rehoboth and Lewis areas, and from about Milton down to the Long Neck area. That's kind of the area where most of this growth and infrastructure has been focused on to this point. And we have 2 or 3 primary mains that we've installed at this point to connect Stonewater all the way up to a location which will ultimately be our primary regional system, and I'll talk about that in a moment. One of the biggest things we did, though, was work with Sussex County to create a partnership where we together created an interconnected system that utilizes both of our systems. In other words, the county can transfer wastewater through our system, and we can transfer through their system. We've saved millions of dollars in infrastructure just based upon that premise. It's a zero-sum game. In other words, we give them as much wastewater as we take from the system, and then the assets become interchangeable. It's worked great over the last few years, and again, if you look at where those interconnections here are on the map, you'll see they run predominantly right along the Route 24 lane main area where Sussex County brings its wastewater to the Inland Bays facility. So we're all in the same area and able to work cooperatively together. The regional system and complex that I was speaking of just a minute ago is here. It's Sussex Regional Recharge Facility, and this is actually phase 1 of that facility. It begins with a 90 million gallon lagoon that was constructed here to service an industrial customer its disposal needs. So This was the start of this large complex, which will become a primary regional system able to treat and dispose of well over 3 million gallons a day. So it will control growth for us in this entire region and act as the backbone for supplying service from Georgetown to Lewis and from Milton down to the Long Neck area. Here you can see, if you haven't been in farmland country, it's as simple as these spray rigs. We actually spray on farmlands. It's economically and agriculturally efficient, and it's not ergonomically, but it's better for the environment. We're not disposing in rivers and streams. It's direct ground penetrations. We also have something else that's been used limitedly in the area, but we actually spray into the wooded area next to some of these farmlands. This is primarily a pine grove that is farmed for wood and lumber every 20 to 25 years. It's actually set up in increments so that we can actually keep spray going into the woods. It's a very good source for uptake of nutrients, highly efficient for taking out nutrients in water and allowing the groundwater to remain pure as it reaches to the aquifers that others are going to be using. So it's a very efficient method of getting rid of wastewater and disposing of the effluent. Here's an aerial photograph of that same region. It's actually Field G, and you can see the lines running through the lower level of trees. Those trees that you're actually seeing are probably between 3 and 4 foot tall in this picture. So you can imagine as the groves are being harvested, we're able to go back in, put the spray back in, and continue spraying on the fields. It's a very efficient method, and we look forward to this being a primary disposal site for years to come. Another aerial view shows kind of the layout of the facility. And what's important here to note is the growth potential for the area. The lagoon is seen at the top portion with the next phase of that lagoon just south of it, noted there for a future location. Behind it is where the treatment facilities will be located. And I'm going to show you a little bit about the future look of this area as we start building the complex there. And you see the wooded area there and the other fields. The entirety of this region cost the company about $25 million of investment to set this up. It was started because of an industrial customer, so they participated in helping this place grow, but it really is the momentum behind putting the integrated system together. So let's look ahead. What do we got coming? Well, in 2019, we filed a construction permit at the end of 2019. And you can see here at the bottom half of the screen there, that's a computer graphic picture of the new treatment system that will be constructed there. Next to it is the filter building. And if you see far to the right of the screen and almost off the screen is the Headworks building behind the lagoon. And another smaller lagoon just to the north of that. That is what we would call an equalization lagoon, where wastewater is coming into the Headworks, it goes into the equalization lagoon, and then is efficiently fed to the plant on the lower half of the screen. So it's going to act as a major system to provide wastewater treatment to residential housing that I had shown you earlier down in the Lewis to Georgetown area there. So we're going to be bringing wastewater to this site and treating it here. Here's another look of that same site overhead, as it were, and you can see to the left of the lagoon where that additional spot is for the secondary lagoon that we have planned down the road, and more room for an equalization spot just north of that current equalization chamber there to the right. So just another look at it from that way, and if you didn't have enough looks, we'll do it from the other angle. So just trying to give you an idea of the kind of space that we have out there for growth to handle the growing territory. The investment that we're putting into the new infrastructure to get us to the new first phase of treatment is about $15.6 million. And that investment includes some of the mains to bring the wastewater to the plant, as well as the treatment plant itself. So all in, about $15 million. Total to this point, once this is constructed by the end of 2023 is our aim, it should be about $40 million into the complex. And when you think in terms of that, you're thinking, what's the cost per customer? So if you look at the total number of customers that can be served on this system, you're looking around $8,000 per customer or per EDU. And if you think about the connection fees and what I would call impact fees around this area, they run about $8,000 or more. We hope to gain synergies and growth in this area by using economies of scale. And I'll show you in a minute how we think that that's going to work in this area. But first, I want to talk about how did this lead to the acquisition of Tessie or the acquisition of Tidewater. We did acquire Tidewater in January. They were a system of about 3,600 customers. They had 7 systems grown exactly the same way, with the exception of the town of Milton. They were developmental systems that were brought online, all satellite systems, all working independently. The town of Milton obviously built their own, and Tessie purchased that system from the town. And I'll get to Milton later because there's a good story around Milton. But this is a look at the territory. In green is where we were, and you can see the synergies that abound by combining the two systems. They're intertwined, they're next to each other in some cases. Some of the plants that you're going to see in just a moment are right near our systems and give perfect opportunity here. There's a billboard right in front of you where you can probably see the names a little bit better. But along the right-hand side of that board are the Tessie systems, the primary developmental systems. Those systems actually line up right along where we have interconnections with the county as well. So it's providing other opportunities. The town of Milton is another story. It's in the middle of the town, but we have another plan to address that. But let's talk about the systems that they have. Again, developmental systems, small, pretty much built out, pretty much reaching the age where they need repairs, replacements, and more expense associated with these systems to keep them operational. It costs as much to run one of these little systems as it does to run one of our bigger plants. So they're not cost effective. So we needed to find a way to get them offline. In addition, the top 3 here, Milton, Plantation, and Country Grove, all had compliance issues. All were out of compliance. The Milton system was just plain, had reached its useful life, the end of its useful life. It needed to be replaced. And we'll talk about that one in a minute. The other 2 we've been working on to bring into compliance. Country Grove, most recently we finished some renovation work there. We believe we'll keep that satellite system in compliance. That one is located on the western side of the state, past Route 13, on the other side away from all of our current system and can't be integrated, but now is compliant. So let's talk about what we're going to do with these systems. It's called integrating it into that interconnected system, and we're going to use the bulk service arrangement we have with Sussex County to bring that wastewater onto the interconnected system and then treat other wastewater at our regional plants elsewhere. Again, the shared services agreement, Sussex County will take the waste and we will take their waste from another location. If you look at the map here, the Route 9 corridor, and I wish I had a pointer that I could really show you there, but if you see the goalposts, you see the magenta goalposts there, that is our main force mains. The bottom half of that goalpost is Route 9. That really creates the line between where we will probably be taking most of the wastewater from the county, and below that line, we will probably be giving them most of our wastewater from our customers, thereby sharing both infrastructure and space to allow treatment to be cost effective to all customers in Sussex County. Let's jump back to the town of Milton, because I know that Commissioner Dallas had a specific question on how that was going, because I know that we appeared before you some time ago. And it's going very well. But let me start as to how the acquisition came about. The town was in desperate need of a new plant. Tessie was involved with constructing a new plant. They had a permit to construct that plant. Unfortunately, because of time passage and the changes in cost structures, the cost of building that plant was enormous, upwards towards $30 million to build that singular plant that would pretty much just serve the town of Milton and some limited growth within the town. It was about 385,000 gallons. Tessie came to Artesian for another cost-effective solution rather than building that plant. So through negotiations, we agreed that acquisition and a combination of the systems was best for both customer bases. And that's what happened. We came about the solution because we were in the process of building the surf treatment and regional facility, and we can do it more cost effectively in the larger region. So that's really what happened. We also at the same time arrived in an agreement with the town so that service to the town would not be interrupted, and we have a favorable solution for their residents going forward. They not only get a new plant, not within their town, they also get 5 acres of their ground back and a parkland along the river there without discharge there, so that their residents can enjoy the riverside, and the Broadkill will not have any further effluent flow into it. So the town wins, and we believe the state wins from taking away a point source discharge for the environment. And this is about how we're going to do it. The lines shown here, there's a red line to the south, and again, I don't have a pointer, I do apologize. That main is already completed from Holland Mills to that right-hand magenta spoke on the goalpost there, as I call it. That's already completed, so we're already taking some of the load off the town, and we look to turn around the main that's in yellow that extends into the town. That's actual flow that's going from Holland Mills, or was going from Holland Mills to the town. We're going to use that same main to reverse flow and take flow out of the town, thereby taking load off the plant and potentially bringing that plant into compliance before we complete SURF. The 2 red lines to the west of that are the 2 primary areas where we were looking to come out of town. We're pretty much settling on the one to the north there along 16, primarily because of growth. There are a number of residences, townhouses, and a medical facility that's being constructed along there. Makes sense to go north. So that's probably where we're going to end up. All in, we're looking at about $5.6 million to do all this. But the expense savings is about $500,000. We expect more as we move forward, but conservatively, we're looking at about $500,000. We believe that the number at the top 2 can be more economized, and we're looking into ways to bring that number down as well. Growth along this sector is very rampant. We believe, though, combining all the investment in this area of about $21 million still make us the most cost-effective choice. And our rates in this area are pretty much consistent with others, which is Tessie in this area. All of our rates are around the same area except for Milton and Plantations. We expect that those will be brought up over time. But all in all, I think we're all in the same range, so we don't see rate shock being an issue for some of our residents. We think that over time, economies of scale will allow us to be a more cost-effective solution as well. Finally, this is what Tessie might look like in about 5 to 10 years. 2 additional plants with a total capacity there of about $1.8 million, 8 million gallons per day. To the left of that is plenty of space for 3 more units of similar size and disposal to match. So I appreciate your time, and I'm going to turn it back over to Nikki.
Thank you, Dave. We're gonna turn our attention back to the water company here for a few minutes. Artesian Water Company is the oldest and largest, is this on? Private water utility on the Delmarva Peninsula. We serve a population of just about 300,000, and our average residential customer gets all of its water service needs, including fire protection, for about $1.71 per day. The map you show here shows our most recent acquisitions. We do continue. Thanks, Dave. You want to just move on? Clicker? Thank you. We continue to grow our customer base both organically and through acquisitions. All these recent acquisitions, these stars here, were all near or adjacent to our existing service territory, and by consolidating the systems with our own, we're helping to improve the resiliency and efficiencies of our systems throughout the state, as well as helping to further build on our economies of scale. Next slide, please. Triton was our most recent acquisition. Actually, I should say their water system, not the town. I don't think they'd like me saying that. But if you see here on the slides, the light blue shows our existing service territory, and the dark blue was the town service territory. So we've had a long-term relationship with them. We actually shared infrastructure. We had a common tank together, and we had an interconnection where we could provide each other water back and forth. So the acquisition with this was seamless. We seamlessly integrated the two systems, and their plant actually had surplus capacity. So we're able to now use the supply that they had available to serve our growth in the area without spending additional dollars to find more supply in this area, which is very beneficial. Next slide, please. The picture you see here is a photo of our new 2 million gallons a day water treatment facility in Dagsboro, which is in Sussex County. And you see the new tank there too is also 1 million gallons of elevated supply. Click. Next slide. If you can see on this map, this is actually our southeastern Sussex water distribution system. And if you see the big yellow blocks, they point out where our major facilities are. The Dagsboro one you see up there on the top is the facility that we just now completed this year. And the big pink line is actually our major transmission distribution line. So we now have a fully integrated system. We run from South Bethany there on the right. The pipeline runs down Route 1 along all the beach communities down to Fenwick, and then inland towards Bayville, and then 8 miles out, pipeline to Dagsboro. So we can now push water back and forth amongst these 3 stations when we need them. So the system down there is much more resilient, and we have flexibility for repair and maintenance when we need to take a station down. So this was greatly needed in this area, and our operators are glad to have that online. So, next, please. And this map here shows our northern Newcastle County distribution system. The little dots there you see in red are our pump stations, which helps us just move water around. The blue line are our major transmission mains. In the last 2 or 3 years, we've made a major effort to boost our hydraulic capacity in this area. That little inset you see there, the building is a new pump treatment facility on Route 40. And that was brand new, I think, 2 years ago. And we've also made some major improvements to some of our older facilities to enlarge pump size, increase capacity. So now we're much more capable of moving supplies from the south, where we're water rich, to the north, where we don't have quite as much capacity at the very northern end of the state. And probably the most critical thing about this venture is it allowed us to renew our contract with the Chester Water Authority and reduce our mineral takes. We were taking 3 million gallons a day. We now have reduced that contractual take down to 500,000 gallons a day, which will save us quite a bit of money in the future. Great, next. Economic development. The picture you see here is an artistic rendering of the STA Pharmaceutical campus. We worked closely with the state and the town of Middletown to help attract this new business to the Middletown area. We had all the infrastructure in place to provide adequate supply and storage that this business was demanding to locate here. And it is going to be an economic boom for the state. They're going to spend approximately $1.3 billion as they build out their campus and provide for hundreds of jobs in the area. Quality assurance. This is probably the most important thing we do. The product we produce is ingested. We take thousands of samples every year. We test for things like bacteria, organics, and other constituents. We're fully compliant with the current lead and copper rules. And we have a robust flushing program. We're constantly clearing out our mains to make sure we're keeping the debris out to keep water quality up. And we also have a main renewal program in place. Next slide. PFAS. This is all over the news these days. Artesian actually has been testing and treating for PFAS for years. All of our water meets current health advisory limits, but the state right now is going through the process of setting a new MCL, which is a maximum contaminant level. We expect that this level is going to be much lower than the current advisory level. We've already started the process of planning for treatment at 3 additional facilities to ensure that we remain compliant with any new standard. And we expect we're going to spend about $10 million over the next 3 years to get these plants the appropriate treatment. Next. Delaware Sand and Gravel, I'm sure you're all familiar with this. Dave and Courtney brought this matter before you a few weeks ago. I just wanted to give you one quick update. The first of the 4 annual credits were applied to customer accounts just last week. Customers will soon see the adjustments in their bills going out. Next. Okay. Our rates. Our base rates haven't increased since 2014. Our customers have seen small incremental DSIC charges over the last 8 years. It's about $3.50 a month as we speak. These charges have been put in place to recover costs associated with about $43 million invested to replace aging mains, that renewal program that I spoke to you about. We've tried very hard to manage controllable expenses where we could without impacting service or water quality. And the graph you see here, we just like to call this the value of water. Our average residential customer pays about $1.70 a day for all their daily water needs, including fire protection. And that's a lot less than some people are willing to pay for an energy drink or a cup of coffee, quite frankly. So I think water service in general remains very affordable for most people. So what are the challenges we're facing right now? Obviously, rising costs. We're not immune to the inflationary pressures that we're seeing globally, actually. We're paying more for pipes, chemicals, fuels, and we're also experiencing some supply challenges on getting things in that we need to promote our daily dose. It's not impacted our ability to get projects done yet, but it has absolutely affected timelines. Where we used to be able to get pipes in deliveries in a few weeks, it now takes months. We have to pre-order things well in advance to make sure that we have things on site that we need. And also another challenge is just attracting new employees and retaining our current ones. It's been challenging. We're fully staffed now, but it took us a long time to get there. There's still challenges getting folks back out to the workforce. So, good. Next slide. So lastly, the one message that I really would just like to leave you with here, is probably the most important. Everyone deserves access to safe, reliable, and affordable water. And at $1.71 a day, our rates for residential service remain very affordable for most. But we need to secure a safety net. And I believe the best way to do that is in the form of a permanent, federally funded, low-income assistance program for those who need it. Something similar to what the electric side has in LIHEAP. I think something should be thought about and put in place for the water side as well. Because bad things can happen when water infrastructure is neglected or when systems are run poorly. We've all seen the horrible situations and outcomes that have unfolded in places like Flint, Michigan, and Jackson, Mississippi. And our most important job as a water utility is to protect public health. So we need to continue to make the investments to ensure that water remains safe and reliable. And we will continue to do the work that we've always done in the face of whatever challenges may come. And thank you for your time, and I'll open up for questions if anyone has any.
So my first question is for Nikki. You mentioned that on March 13th of 2020, everybody went remote and had flexible work schedules. And again, you mentioned that in terms of employee retention, that it's important to have those flexible work schedules. But are you requiring people to come back to the office? And if not, is that going to be a big cost for the company if you have an empty office building and everybody's working from home? Are there specific requirements at this time?
Actually, we have some flexibility with different departments. Obviously, more than half our staff is operations personnel, and they don't have the ability to work remotely. So the folks that are still, we're allowing people a day or two a week where they can, where it doesn't impact productivity. And folks like the accounting department obviously can work a little more easily remotely, or the IT folks. but most of our folks are back in the office. We do allow alternating schedules for our customer service reps because they can fully work from home as well. But it is something that some of the folks that we're interviewing are demanding, and will go elsewhere if you don't allow them flexibility. So we're having to adjust to the current markets.
Times have really changed.
Yes.
So my next question is for Dave, and that is your Sussex facility, the treatment, the 90, you said $90 million lagoon?
90 million gallon.
Yeah.
If it was $90 million, we wouldn't be
Yeah.
sitting here.
That'd be expensive. Yeah, stop charging people. So my first question is the water in that lagoon post-treatment or
Yes.
pre-treatment? That's the
Yeah,
post-
that
the
is
post-treatment
for spray irrigation.
Yeah.
You're required
Yep.
to keep so many days worth of storage. So at bad weather where you can't spray. So that's all treated water. Yes.
And those trees, you're growing that, are you growing that, are those trees to use the trees and you'll replace the trees, cut them down and use,
But-
replant trees? Or is that supposed to be a wooded area that stays wooded forever?
Great question. We're not farming anything. Let's be clear about that. I'm not employing farmers. They are leasing the land there from the current owner and work with us for the irrigation. They do have a business that actually comes in and logs those trees for lumber, for, whatever pine can be used for when they're mature. Used to be they'd take 25 to 30, maybe even 35 years to mature just because of, the growth patterns. We believe, and has been shown, that if given the right nutrients and over time, they actually grow in a faster rate. So it's kind of a good business for us to be partnered with because trees take up nutrients very well, more than crops, more than anything else on the fields. They are very nutrient rich and do a great job of doing it. But they are using the wood for lumber, for other, resellable items.
And you mentioned that the Tessie integration project, and that it was a $5.6 million project. Is that replacing in full the $30 million that Milton would have spent to create its own project?
In part, we had in our plan to build our treatment facility anyway, so that money without Milton was being built to handle growth in our area. So the $5 million is strictly to integrate all those satellite systems as well as the Milton facility. So in essence, that would offset the amount for that $30 million plan.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. And my final question is, are you following all the new technologies for PFAS removal and remediation? And do you foresee that those technologies will be more expensive or hopefully less expensive going forward? Because I know there are at least 3 technologies now, and hopefully that's going to be cost effective at some point.
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because you just reminded me. I forgot to introduce Daniel Constanti, if you wouldn't mind standing. He's our newly promoted VP of Engineering, and I'm going to put him on the spot to answer that question if you'd like. He's much more qualified than I am to answer that.
To answer your question, yes, I'm actively and have been for years following the various technologies that, kind of starting on the lab scale and bench scale and now working their way through various pilots and such. In terms of the question on cost, I think it's still a little early to really know whether they're going to be more effective than the granular activated carbon or the ion exchange, which are obviously the 2 main technologies right now. But I'm very interested, especially with some of the pilot work that I've seen done coming out of Europe recently with some of those technologies. So still a little early to tell. I haven't really seen solid pricing in terms of full-scale systems that are something that we could apply very easily, but definitely something that I'm watching very actively.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
First, let me give you congratulations for a very detailed and very good report. It is a lot of operations figures and a lot of project figures built in, and a lot of other projects and what have you. So it's good to know about all these things because it helps us make well-rounded decisions if and when that comes before us and what have you. My request to you is that at the last page, if you can add one page on company's overall public financial figures. How much is the capital? For example, you mentioned one thing somewhere that your market cap is 499 million. So it's a reasonable size of a corporation and what have you. So you can say how much is the capital of the owners, like share capital, how much is a debt. Now a lot of times I read in the newspaper that your financing is private placement. So you may not have rating from Moody's or Fitch or S&P or what have you, but if you can give those kind of general figures, they give us and other people some idea about the financial strength of your company. Because we like to look at the companies which are excellent in public service, but at the same time they are financially strong, so we know that continuity will occur, and that makes us smiley. So you had a question. Oh, you had. Oh no.
No,
Nope.
no. Thank you for
No,
that.
it's your questions.
Yeah, no, that's for you. Thank you for that input, and we will add some more slides to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gray, do you have any questions?
No, I don't, Madam Acting Chair. Thank you very much for a very nice presentation. I will thank Artesian as well on behalf of their ratepayers for the refund for the sand and gravel settlement. I think that was very appropriately administered, so keep up the good work.
Chair Winslow, do you have a question?
No, I don't, Madam Acting Chair. Thank you very much for a very nice presentation. I will thank Artesian as well on behalf of their ratepayers for the refund for the sand and gravel settlement. I think that was very appropriately administered, so keep up the good work.
Chair Winslow, do you have a question?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to echo the
Acting Chair, thank you very much for a very nice presentation. I will thank Artesian as well on behalf of their ratepayers for the refund for the sand and gravel settlement. I think that was very appropriately administered, so keep up the good work.
Chair Winslow, do you have a question?
I don't have any questions, but I'd like to echo the
Chair, thank you very much for a very nice presentation.
Nikki, thank you so very much for sharing your people with us. Would you either introduce them or let them stand up and introduce themselves?
Oh, absolutely.
Go.
Let everybody introduce themselves, because I don't want to miss anybody and then be held accountable. Diane, would you like to go first?
Diane Taylor, CEO, Chair of the Board, and I'd like to introduce Joe DiMarzio. We appreciate the gratitude for over 20 years that Joe has been dedicated to this mission of getting this recovery that our customers truly deserve. And we're really proud and fortunately through our relationship with the Public Service Commission, we've been able to put that into rates and to be able to provide what we need to do to keep our customers happy and healthy and provide a really good water. This plan has been with us 35 years. I don't want to,
Don't date them.
I don't know, I want to go there.
I just remember when his hair wasn't gray, mine wasn't either. I just want to give gratitude to Joseph DiMarzio.
I thank you for that. And just as a point of context, in all of that mission in 20 years, I had up at EPA Region 3 what I phrased as the Khrushchev moment, for those who remember, where I had to slam the table and say, everybody, we have to get this resolved. Our customers should not be bearing the burden. And I am very happy that we were able to get there without paying lawyers to get there. So it was a nice thing. I'm glad that it's appreciated that we were able to return that meal. Thank you.
Nobody else wants to introduce?
Stan Sickfried, Vice President of Municipal Facilities. John Taylor, Senior Vice President of Operations. Peter Anderson, Chief Information Officer and Senior Vice President.
Courtney Evans, General Counsel, EPM Administration. Crystal Dixon, Paralegal. Jennifer Finch, Senior VP and Treasurer.
thank you. And thank you to Artesian for your charitable services to the people of the state of Delaware.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. There are 5 items. Does anyone want any of those removed to a regular agenda or anything? Commissioner Gray, Chair Winslow, do you have any you'd like moved?
Not for me, Madam Chair. Did I hear my voice reverberate a couple of times?
Oh, yes.
I'm very sorry. I hung up and dialed back in. I hope it doesn't happen again. I'm not sure why.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Not for me, not. Did I hear my voice reverberate?
May I have a motion to adopt the consent agenda, please?
I move that we adopt the consent agenda.
I second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Commissioner Drexler?
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye. Madam Chair, if I reverberate again, I'm going to come separate from the meeting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chair Winslow?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. All right, let's move on to the regular agenda. First item on the regular agenda is in the matter of the application of Veolia Environment SA, Veolia North America Incorporated, Suez SA, and Suez Water Delaware Incorporated, pursuant to 26 Delaware Chapter subsection 215, pertaining to an indirect change in control of Suez Water Delaware Incorporated. I think first on the agenda is Pam Scott, Veolia.
Thank you very much. And I have with me today Jim Cagle, who is Vice President of Rates and Regulatory Affairs for what is now Veolia.
Okay.
Just briefly, in connection with this docket, Suez and Veolia filed a joint petition with the Commission on June 21st, 2021, seeking approval of an indirect change of control pursuant to 26 Delaware Code, Section 215. Following discovery in that matter, the joint applicants, along with staff and the DPA, entered into a settlement agreement in this docket. That was dated September 29th, 2021, and it was approved by the Commission on October 6th, 2021, pursuant to Order Number 9894. The settlement agreement included a most favored nation provision, whereby Veolia agreed that if, on a per-customer basis, the aggregate dollar amount provided by Veolia in another jurisdiction is materially more beneficial than the terms of the settlement agreement approved by this commission, then Veolia would increase the dollar amount contributed to customer benefits in Delaware to reach an equivalent per-customer contribution. Based on the outcomes that were achieved for this approval of this transaction in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, an analysis was performed by the joint applicants, and we made a compliance filing with this commission on March 25th, 2022, that included all of the orders and forms of settlement agreements in those jurisdictions, and also included an analysis that was performed by the joint applicants as to the impact under the most favored nation provisions of the settlement agreement. Based upon this analysis, the joint applicants determined that additional financial benefits for Delaware in the amount of $1,300,684 would be available to Delaware customers as a result of the most favored nation provision. Following a review of the documentation by staff and DPA, the parties agreed that the calculation of those benefits was appropriate under the most favored nation provision, and further agreed that such benefits would be returned to metered customers
as a one-time account credit as set forth in Exhibit A of the order before you today. And also agreed that the amount of the total account credits issued would be deferred for treatment in Veolia's next rate case filing. So you have before you today order number 10123, which reflects the agreement of Veolia, Suez, DPA, and staff with respect to the benefits, the increased benefits to Delaware, and how they would be treated. And we would ask that you approve such order today. And certainly happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you very much. Mr. Geddes, behalf of staff?
Madam Acting Chair, staff supports the form of order. You also have a memorandum by Lisa Driggins that analyzes the credit and the reasons why staff supports it. We support the form of order. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Iori?
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. The DPA also supports the proposed form of order and would like to thank Veolia and particularly Ms. Scott and Mr. Kegel for their work on this. We're very pleased with the outcome, and it's nice that ratepayers will be seeing a credit on their bills, especially at this time. So we do support the proposed form of order.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, are there any questions? May I have a motion, please, to adopt order number 10123, please?
I move that we approve proposed order number 10123 as presented.
I second the motion.
All those in favor?
Madam Acting Chair?
Yes, yes,
Madam Acting Chair?
yes.
I would like to express my thanks to Lisa Driggins for her fine memorandum and also for demonstrating her fluency in French.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Chair Winslow,
Aye.
Commissioner Gray,
Aye.
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 and I vote aye. The motion carries. And we will go on now to the next item on the agenda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item number 2 is in the matter of Delmarva Power and Light Company compliance filing for community solar, filed May 11th, 2022, and revised October 14th, 2022. We have Dawn Crompton from DP&L.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. Dawn Kurtz Crompton for Delmarva Power and Light Company. Today you are presented with Delmarva's compliance filing dated October 14, 2022, pertaining to certain community solar-related tariffs. Also for your consideration is order number 10126, which would open the docket and approve the tariff rates in Delmarva's proposed revised community energy facility tariffs, which were initially filed on May 11, 2022, and again were revised on October 14. Delmarva is seeking that the Commission enter the order and allow the rates on a temporary basis and subject to refund following staff's review, public notice, and Commission's final approval. As stated in our filing, these tariffs are being submitted to the PSC in connection with Section 16.10.2.1 and Section 16.15.3.2 of the Rules of Certification and Regulation of Electric Suppliers, Net Metering, and Community Energy Facilities at 26 Del Admin Code, Section 3001. Those regulations were promulgated in furtherance of the 2021 Community Solar Law, titled An Act to Amend Titles 6, 26, and 29 of the Delaware Code relating to community-owned energy generating facilities and renewable energy, also known as Senate Bill 2. By and through that law and the regulations, Delmarva prepared these tariffs by which it would recover any billing-related costs incurred by Delmarva, as well as a calculation of the associated charges to community energy facilities, which I will call CEFs for short. On May 11, Delmarva filed its initial proposed CEF tariffs. On June 1, 2022, Delmarva filed a letter with the Commission to advise that there were ongoing discussions taking place with various stakeholders regarding the contents of these tariffs, and we also requested that the Commission defer its consideration and implementation of the proposed CEF tariffs until such time as Delmarva could refile its request. As a result of those discussions with Commission staff and the Division of the Public Advocate, as well as informal feedback from external stakeholders, including members of the community solar development community, Delmarva made certain edits to the proposed tariffs, and those proposed revised tariffs are the subject of today's, what I'll call basically an opening order. These complex tariffs, which are based on statutory and regulatory requirements, are fairly nuanced, but generally speaking include the estimated costs that Delmarva has incurred or expects to incur pursuant to Section 16.10.2.1 of the regulations. Secondly, we included a proposed format for the allocation report. We also included modifications to the service classification CEF, that is at tariff leafs number 95A through 95F. We have 3 new riders. The first is named CEF-O, which is for Community Energy Facility Operators. We have a CEF-AC, which is for Community Energy Facility Administrative Charges. And lastly, we have new rider CEF-S, which is for Community Energy Facility Subscribers. Due to the complex nature of these tariffs, Delmarva, in discussions with staff and DPA, as well as the result of feedback from the Coalition for Community Solar Access, or CCSA, we believe that it would be best to provide interested parties another opportunity to formally comment on the tariffs prior to seeking official approval from the Commission. Accordingly, Order Number 10126 is essentially an opening order, as I said earlier, and it includes a proposed public notice which would commence a comment period through December 9 for interested parties to provide feedback on the proposed tariffs. At the conclusion of that comment period, Delmarva intends to meet with staff and DPA again to review the various comments we may receive and incorporate any changes as may be appropriate. We'd like to thank staff and DPA for their assistance in this matter, including the opportunity to comment on Order Number 10126, and Delmarva respectfully requests that that order be entered so that we can submit the public notice and the comment period can begin. Thank you.
Thank you. Summer Pope, please, for staff.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. Summer Pope on behalf of staff in this matter. Delmarva did a great job condensing that all for you, but I just want to highlight a few things. By approving Order 10126 as presented today, the Commission would be ordering that petitions for intervention, written comments, or objections be filed by December 9th, 2022. If written comments or objections are filed, or if there are recommended changes to the revised proposed CEF tariffs temporarily approved by this order, the Commission will determine by future order the course of any further proceedings. If material written comments or objections are not filed and final approval of the rates and the revised proposed CEF tariffs is recommended, then the Commission may enter a final order at a duly noticed public hearing. Additionally, this order will require Delmarva to publish the form of notice attached in Order Number 10126 in the News Journal, Delaware State News, and the Cape Gazette by November 11, 2022, and the affidavits of publication for the same to be e-filed. Staff thanks the Commissioners for their time and as well to Delmarva and DPA for their assistance.
Thank you. Ms. Iori for DPA.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. Due to the thorough recitations by both Ms. Crompton and Ms. Pope, I have nothing to add. We do not oppose the proposed form of order.
Thank you very much. Chair Winslow, do you have any questions?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Gray?
No questions, Madam Acting Chair.
Commissioner Correa?
I move that we adopt the order number 10126.
I second.
Any questions on the motion? All those in favor of the motion, Commissioner Drexler,
Aye.
Commissioner Correa,
Aye.
Commissioner Gray,
Aye.
Chair Winslow,
Aye.
and I vote aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, item number 3 on the regular agenda is in the matter of the application of Delmarva Power and Light Company, Exelon Corporation, Pepco Holdings Incorporated, Purple Acquisition Corporation, Exelon Energy Delivery Company, LLC, and new special purpose entity for approvals under the provisions of 26 Delaware Code subsections 215 and 1016. It's PSC docket number 14-193. Again, Ms. Crompton, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. Again, Dawn Kurtz Crompton on behalf of Delmarva Power and Light Company. With me today are Diane Goff, who is Manager of Regulatory Affairs for Delmarva, Delaware. I'm sure you all know Diane. But we do have another special guest with us, Deb Davis, who is the Senior Manager of Revenue Management for Pepco Holdings, Inc. Were the commissioners to have any detailed questions regarding this matter, or others would have questions, I would like to defer to either Ms. Goff or Ms. Davis. The present matter is Delmarva Power and Light Company's request for approval of revisions to the Pilot Arrearagement Management Program pursuant to the provisions of Paragraph 7 of Exhibit A to Order Number 8952. This filing, which is dated October 21, 2022, pertains to the merger commitment in docket 14-193 concerning the Arrearage Management Program, which I will refer to today as AMP, which was established for low-income customers in arrears, which included the provision of certain credits or matching payments for qualifying customers. Also for your consideration is order number 10126, excuse me, 10129, thank you, which would open the AMP tariff rider and would allow Delmarva to disperse approximately $2 million in remaining funds to qualifying customers. The funding for the AMP program overall was just about $4 million. The program commenced in May of 2019, and the AMP program deadline was extended by the Commission on 2 occasions to continue to try and garner program participation. On December 12, 2021, the company submitted its final program report, which stated that the total arrearage forgiveness for the program was $2,143,732.77, with the remaining balance of $1,909,885.23. The company met multiple times with staff and DPA to discuss the program results, lessons learned, and options to disperse the remaining approximately $2 million. We refer to these in our filing as the excess AMP funds. Delmarva staff and DPA met on several occasions to discuss various alternatives on utilization of these excess AMP funds, and they developed a methodology for dispersing those funds. The solution the party agreed upon provides the benefits to low-income customers and provides more immediate assistance to a broad number of customers. It is currently estimated that approximately 3,000 eligible customers will receive some forgiveness, with the average forgiveness being approximately $600 per customer. As stated in the application, if there are any funds remaining after the excess AMP funds are dispersed, Delmarva Power, staff, and DPA will work together to determine how those funds should be distributed. Accordingly, having worked with staff and DPA, Delmarva Power respectfully requests that the Commission approve the AMP program rider revisions as attached and outlined in our filing. We again want to reiterate our appreciation to staff and DPA, particularly Mr. Slater, for his dedication to this cause and for the collaborative engagement in this process, and in finding resolution that allows Delmarva to fulfill this merger commitment and to provide arrearage forgiveness to eligible Delawareans. Unless anyone has any questions, this concludes Delmarva's recitation, and we would like to respectfully request that the Commission enter order number 10129 as proposed. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Geddes?
Madam Acting Chair, members of the Commission, I believe the DPA, along with the staff, has had the laboring oar with regard to this issue, having participated in the merger itself, 2014, seems like yesterday. I do think it is personally consistent with the terms outlined in your order, setting these funds aside for the purposes as stated by Ms. Crompton. So, but I will defer to DPA. I think they have some more particular comments, but staff does support the form of order. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Iori?
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. I don't really have more specific comments on the application itself. I think Ms. Crompton laid out very thoroughly what the application entails, and we are very pleased with the collaborative approach that resulted in the application. And so we do want to, extend our appreciation to Delmarva and to staff for that collaborative approach. What my concern is, and it actually has nothing to do with the substance of the order or the application, it's simply that this item was not on the original agenda when it was posted 7 days ago, even though it could have been. And I simply want to point out that FOIA has certain requirements about posting of agenda items, and while there can be changes made to them, changes adding agenda items are generally made if there's an emergency that needs to be considered. I would, as much as I like this, I wouldn't consider it an emergency. So I'm not objecting to the Commission doing anything to it today. I'm just saying that probably should keep an eye on that in case something that's a little more, how do we say, argumentative,
Controversial.
makes its way onto the agenda with less than the required 7 days' notice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Commissioner Drexler, do you have a question? Commissioner Correa? Commissioner Gray? Chair Winslow? All right, then I will entertain a
No,
motion. Go ahead. Chair Winslow?
no questions, Madam Acting Chair.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to adopt Order 10129 as presented.
So moved, Madam Acting Chair.
I second the motion.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Gray is yes.
And so am I. I'm a yes as well.
Commissioner Correa?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Commissioner Drexler has voted aye. All, the motion carries and the order is approved. And now we move on to the hearing schedule. The first item on the hearing schedule is in the matter of revisions to the Rules of Practice and Procedure of the Delaware Public Service Commission. It's PSC Regulation Docket Number 99-9. Ms. Pope, it's yours.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. Summer Pope on behalf of staff in this matter. Today you have in front of you for your consideration written comments submitted by Artesian and Delmarva Power and Light. As background, docket 99-9 was reopened by order number 10094 in August 2022 to propose amendments to the Commission's Rules of Practice and Procedure. The proposed amendments were then published on October 1st in the Register of Regulations. In accordance with the APA and by the Commission's own regulations, the Commission holds today's hearings to consider the written comments submitted before October 14th, 2022. Importantly, it should be highlighted to the Commission that no decisions regarding the proposed changes or the written comments received to date on the matter will be made today. Instead, the comment period will remain open and all public comments received until November 18th, 2022 deadline will be considered. The Commission shall determine whether the regulation should be amended, adopted, or repealed, and shall issue its conclusion at the next Commission meeting, which I believe will be November 30th. Now to the written comments which Artesian and Delmarva each submitted on October 12th and October 14th respectively. These comments are located as item B and item C on the agenda, and I believe are good summaries for the Commission to reference, unless you'd like me to go through each of them.
Yes, please.
You do want me to go through them? Okay. Well, I believe that Delmarva would like to address the comments, but I can go through them.
Delmarva, would you prefer?
Good afternoon, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. May it please the Commission, Brian Jordan on behalf of Delmarva Power and Light. I'm happy to go through. We have just three comments that we made. And before I begin, though, there are three things I want to say. First, I wanted to thank staff for working on this. There's one thing that sends a shiver up any attorney's spine, and that is the fear that you might miscount a response and not file on time. And so to the extent that these changes clarify timeframes by adding calendar days or business days is welcome and very much appreciated. Number two, as to the actual comments, Delmarva Power had three that it made. One was to 2.6, which is about discovery procedures. 2.6.3 specifically discusses a requirement that all interrogatories or written data requests shall be numbered and that they shall be provided in Word format. Delmarva Power added a suggestion that clarifies that the party responding to interrogatories or to data requests is not also obligated to provide its response in Word format. In other words, it can provide them in Excel or as a PDF, as it is. What I really want to focus the Commission's attention on is 2.6.6, and this involves the response time that a respondent has for data requests in rate or other expedited cases. As proposed in front of the Commission, it says 15 calendar days. Delmarva Power has respectfully suggested that it be 21 calendar days, an additional 7 days, and there are several reasons why. They're set out in our comments, but to generalize them, the utilities are the ones who have to generally bear the brunt of responding to written discovery, whether it's data requests, requests for production, or whatnot. But while these rate cases are going, the employees who have to respond to these also have their other work to do as well. So it's not like we just have our employees who are able to focus exclusively on this. They have other work to do. And that becomes a real issue with rate cases, particularly with rolling discovery, when we see data requests come in from multiple parties. And so having additional time to be able to answer those in an extra 7 calendar days would be very much appreciated. When you consider in Delmarva's last gas rate case, for example, we were receiving data requests from staff, and we received data requests from the public advocate. There were interveners who could have submitted data requests, although they didn't. But the point being, we had multiple sets of data requests that we had to respond to. And that's just in the beginning of discovery. When we get into rebuttal, of course, we get more data requests that way. And so by adding that extra 7 days, we just want to make sure that Delmarva is able to meet its obligations and to be able to file appropriate responses as needed. And what it says here is, that includes identifying the proper person who can respond to this, identifying the appropriate documents, reviewing those documents to make sure that there isn't any privileged material, compiling all of that information into an answer, and then also actually producing that answer. And so that's why Delmarva is asking for consideration of 21 calendar days instead of 15 calendar days. The last comment that Delmarva made is on 2.7 on motions, and again, it goes to the time frame. As proposed right now, it is a response to a motion is for 7 calendar days. Delmarva has suggested making that 10 calendar days, an additional 3 calendar days. With that short of a time, those 3 calendar days can be very critical because it would generally cover a weekend, meaning it would give Delmarva's employees, particularly its attorneys, an extra weekend there to get responses done, which would be very much appreciated. So with that, those were the real comments that Delmarva had. And again, I just want to say thank you to staff for doing this, and that Delmarva shares its appreciation and its own concern with making sure that these are as clear as can be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Speak for Artesian.
Certainly, thank you. Good afternoon, Courtney Emerson on behalf of Artesian Resources. I would echo all of Brian's comments, and you'll see in our written comments that we actually commented on the same sections. The only thing I did want to add, and all of our comments were submitted on Della files so you can review them. They were brief, but in paragraph 2.6.2, there is newly a provision for the allowance of discovery on a rolling basis. Artesian is concerned that this could become unwieldy. By the letter of the language, it would permit discovery to be served essentially every day, with a deadline being based upon the service date, and you'd be managing a calendar of deadlines with new requests coming in as frequently as every day. So we just wanted to point that out. We had proposed some suggested alternatives, which could include following the federal rules of civil procedure or establishing a discovery order at the beginning of the case. If there's any comments or questions on our written comments, I'm happy to entertain them. But otherwise, again, echo Brian's comments.
Ms. Iori.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. You didn't think I'd be silent, did you? We did not submit written comments because we agreed with the proposed regulations. But once we received Delmarva's and Artesian's comments, we thought it would be appropriate to give you the benefit of our thinking on these regulations and why certain changes were made. So, with respect to Rule 2.6.2, which would propose rolling discovery as the default for discovery, the basis for this change was to allow the parties an opportunity for faster follow-up on responses received. Until recently, when we started pressing for rolling discovery, staff, the DPA, and interveners from time to time, well, shouldn't say from time to time, had an initial round of discovery with 1, maybe 2 opportunities for follow-up, usually just 1. So on occasions when responses were incomplete or worse, not responsive, the prior practice often left issues unresolved, as you have read on more than one occasion in DPA's testimony. Additionally, we're aware that that rolling discovery is the practice in many jurisdictions. Now, with respect to Artesian's fear that the practice may become unwieldy and that we might file discovery every single day, let me tell you how it's worked in the last 3 Delmarva cases. In docket 20-0149, the DPA issued 4 sets of discovery and staff issued 6 sets of discovery on direct testimony. It was certainly not 1 every day. It wasn't 1 every other day. It wasn't 1 every 3rd day, maybe once a week. In that same docket, the DPA issued 2 sets of discovery and staff issued 2 sets of discovery on rebuttal testimony. In docket number 20-150, the DPA issued 6 sets of discovery and staff issued 6 sets of discovery on direct testimony. And I would note in that regard that that case involved tariff changes and that don't generally show up in a rate case. So that was a little on the unusual side. The same was true for 149 as well. So in that same docket, the DPA issued 2 sets of discovery, and staff issued 1 set of discovery on rebuttal testimony. In Delmarva's most recent gas rate case, 22-002, the DPA issued 8 sets of discovery, and staff issued 5 sets of discovery on direct testimony. And on rebuttal testimony, the DPA and staff each issued 2 sets of discovery. Delmarva was able to timely respond to all of these sets of discovery without a problem, and these days everyone has calendars and computers, so when they're working at least, it's not difficult to keep track of deadlines. Finally, Rule 2.6.4 expressly states that the hearing examiner, the commission, or designated presiding officer may vary discovery provisions in the interests of justice. So if Artesian finds that it has a problem with complying with rolling discovery obligations, it can request the hearing examiner to vary the provisions. I also note that parties have accommodated each other in the past with respect to needing more time here and there, and I don't see why that would change. So we would respectfully ask the Commission to leave Section 2.6.2 as it is, because from our perspective, rolling discovery has worked well. With respect to Delmarva's proposed change to Rule 2.6.3, the DPA does not oppose that addition. With respect to Rule 2.6.6, proposing a 15 calendar day deadline for discovery responses in expedited cases. I note this change is only for expedited cases such as those specifically identified in the proposed rule change and for rate cases. Now, the specifically identified situations severely circumscribe the time in which the Commission must make a decision. For example, in Section 215 cases, the Commission must make a decision within 30 days of the application. That time can be extended in one narrowly prescribed situation, but if you extend discovery to 21 days, that would mean essentially that parties would, if they were going to file any discovery, would essentially have to file discovery the day the application comes in or the day after, because you're not going to have much time to make a decision. And because you have to discover it, because you have to make that decision within 30 days, depending on when the Commission meeting is scheduled for for a matter to be heard, you might not even have the full 30 days for discovery. So that is why, for at least with respect to Section 215, we ask for 15-day discovery. It's an expedited time frame. Similarly, CPCNs have an expedited time frame, and while you don't usually have discovery on them, it's not unheard of. And finally, the distribution planning regulations specify a date that the utilities must submit proposed ISRs or LRDPs, and a date by which the utilities must file the final ISR or LRDP. The time for discovery is between those two dates, and it's only a few months. So extending the time to respond to discovery responses could deprive non-utility parties the right to issue any discovery in these cases, or deprive them of the right to follow up on responses received. And finally, as to rate cases, those are supposed to be decided within 7 months under the statute, but we all know that's honored more in the breach than the observance. But this proposed amendment, which decreases the time for discovery responses, could help speed up the rate case process. It should be remembered that the utilities determine when they're going to file a rate case, so they should have their ducks in a row. They should know that their in-house employee witnesses will be involved in the rate case and organize the workload accordingly. Indeed, that is why the Commission requires a 60-day notice for rate cases, so that the Commission can organize its employees' workload in preparation for the rate case that's coming in. And employee witnesses should be prepared to be asked about everything in their filings on which they filed testimony. I also note that the two commenting utilities employ outside counsel, which reduces the burden on them somewhat. To the extent that they need 21 days to draft responses and then send those responses through upper management and counsel so they can be sanitized, they will just have to do it a little faster, and we don't think that's unreasonable. It's not this commission's problem that some utilities have multiple layers of management that have to review every discovery response. And again, I point out that two other large utilities that also have multiple layers of management, Tidewater and Veolia, did not file any comments challenging this proposed change. And again, the rule specifically states that the commission, the hearing examiner, or the presiding officer can change the length of time upon request. So if the utilities find a 15 calendar day response time problematic for a particular case, they can petition the hearing examiner or commission to change the response time for that case. Now, I would note that such a request would likely encounter pushback, but that remains to be seen. And again, this should speed up the timeline for rate case proceedings, which I would think utilities would appreciate. Rule 2.6.7, Artesian proposed adding the words, after notification of the objection, after within 7 calendar days. I think that's implied, but we don't object to that addition. And finally, on Rule 2.7 regarding motions and response time. This might not make much of a difference in a motion that is before a hearing examiner, but it might make a significant difference in a motion that is going to the commission. The commission generally only meets twice a month and sometimes only once a month. According to the calendar that the commission's secretary issued for 2023, the commission only has one meeting in 7 of the 12 months. So a 10-day response and reply time could very well mean that it could be a month or more before the commission hears a motion. And depending on the matter addressed in the motion, it could make a big difference. In this regard, I'd note that even if the motion is originally directed to the hearing examiner, in the past, hearing examiners have declined to consider them and instead have sent the matter directly to the commission for consideration. That happened most recently in docket number 20-149 with the DPA's and staff's joint motion to strike portions of Delmarva's rebuttal testimony. Again, I would note that it is within the hearing examiner's or the commission's discretion to waive application of the 7-day response and reply period should circumstances warrant. And, excuse me, as for the court deadlines that Delmarva cites, courts are in session every day. This commission is not. Finally, I would suggest that this is a bigger burden on staff and the DPA than it is on utilities. When it is at full strength, staff has 2 DAGs. When it is fully staffed, the DPA has 1 DAG. Yet both of us have managed to quickly turn around responses and replies to motions in the past, and we're confident that utilities can do so too. Thank you.
Madam Acting Chair,
Yes.
could I have a few minutes to respond? Because I did not have the benefit of hearing any of those comments until just now. There's nothing filed on the docket, and there were a few comments that I did want to just spend a sentence or two addressing, if I could. One goes back to 2.6.6 with comment about outside counsel and the need to run this up the chain to sanitize it. That's not the case at all. Outside counsel does not know what sort of data requests we're going to get. We don't know how many. In these rate cases specifically, it runs into the dozens and dozens and dozens of data requests. And asking for an additional 21 days does not mean that the utility is going to take the 21 days. It just gives the utilities who are answering these the additional time that it may need in order to fully respond to those data requests. And that's that. As for 2.7 and the need for an extra 3 days, as I point out in the comments, that's in line with the rules of all of the courts in Delaware, whether they're operating every day or not. The fact is, by doing it with 10 calendar days, it would bring the commission in line with practice throughout the state. I appreciate the extra time. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Emerson, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I thank you. I will just clarify one thing, which I think is understood, but when we talk about sets of data requests, that is not a limit on the number of specific requests. So it could be 1 or it could be 100. And I think that the same concern about the commission only meeting monthly when you're left to petition the commission for relief from data request, it may be well beyond that 10-day deadline before the commission next meets. Just some logistical issues to think of. But again, I appreciate the time today. Thank you.
Ms. Vogt.
Thank you. Staff worked with the DPA on this matter, so we're actually in agreement with the DPA on this. The DPA did accept 2.6.3 and 2.6.7 as acceptable proposed changes to it, and staff is also in agreement with those. I believe that was to Word and then to the clarification, which Artesian noted, but staff's in full agreement with DBA.
Commissioner Drexler, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Commissioner Gray. Commissioner Gray.
I have no questions, Madam Acting Chair.
Chair Winslow.
I have no questions, Acting Chair.
All right, and we're not to vote on this until the next.
Yes, no vote today. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would just like to say thank you to all the parties involved in this for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and number 2 on the hearing schedule is the matter of request for approval of Delmarva Power and Light Company's 2022-2023 standard offer service rates, procurement cost adjustment, and RARM filing. We have Ms. Crumpton.
Good afternoon. Thank you again, Madam Acting Chair, Commissioners. Dawn Kurtz Crumpton on behalf of Delmarva Power and Light Company. With me today is Mr. Robert Cohen, who is going to be providing some testimony with respect to the application that has been presented to you today. In addition to the application, you are also considering order number 10127, which would approve Delmarva's request for approval of its amended procurement cost adjustment, or PCA, filing for 2022 standard offer service, procurement cost adjustment, and reasonable allowance for retail margin rates. Delmarva's original filing was submitted on March 30, 2022, and thereafter, our amended filing was submitted on October 20th, 2022. By and through that filing, we are seeking the Commission's approval on a temporary basis, subject to refund following staff's review, public notice, and Commission's final approval of the rates set forth in our application. Delmarva would like to thank the other parties for their efforts in this docket, particularly staff and Ms. Knotts, who worked. There was a lot of work that went into this filing. And so we would just like to comment and thank again staff for all of the work and collaboration over these past few months with this. It is Delmarva's position that order number 10127 should be approved, and we would like to provide testimony of Mr. Cohen today, if he may be sworn in, please.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Robert J. Cohen, C-O-A-N.
Mr. Cohen, by whom are you employed?
PHI Service Company, primarily on behalf of Delmarva Power. My business address is 500 North Wakefield Drive, Newark, Delaware, 19702.
And in what capacity are you employed at PHI?
As a senior rate analyst.
How long have you been in that position?
Almost 10 years in this specific position, but I've been with the family of companies for over 40 years, doing mostly utility accounting.
What is your educational background?
I hold a Bachelor of Science in Accounting from the University of Delaware.
Were you involved in the preparation of the filing in this docket that was submitted to the Commission on March 30th, 2022?
Yes, I was primarily responsible for that original filing.
Did the Commission approve the rates set forth in the March 30th filing?
Yes, pursuant to order number 10002, the proposed rates went into effect on June 1st, 2022 on an interim basis.
Were you involved in the preparation of the amended filing in this docket that was submitted on October 20th, 2022?
Yes, I am primarily responsible for the amended filing as well.
Mr. Cohen, what is the purpose of your testimony today?
The purpose of my testimony is to provide additional detail concerning the amended filing, including a brief description of the external circumstances that led to the amended filing, and to address Delmarva's request for a waiver of the 60-day notice requirements for the rate effective date.
Can you please describe some of the circumstances that led to the October 2022 amended filing?
As set forth in the amended filing, in mid-May 2022, a large number of medium to large commercial and industrial customers were returned to SOS, or Standard Offer Service, unexpectedly by their third-party supplier.
Did this situation impact the PCA under recovery balance?
Yes, there are two factors that primarily caused the growth in under recovery balance, both actual and forecast, as detailed in the amended filing. First, due to the unexpected and significant return of the above-mentioned SOS commercial and industrial customers, the company is purchasing energy at significantly higher prices than the corresponding tariff rates that went into effect on June 1, 2022. Second, as a result of the rates requested in the original filing, the GSP and HPS rate classes currently have negative or credit PCA rates. Those original credit rates, which were requested in March and went into effect on June 1, assumed a level of sales that did not include the large increase that unexpectedly occurred in mid-May.
Did the company have an opportunity to discuss this emerging under recovery issue with staff and the DPA?
Yes, the return of the SOS customers was discussed in general terms during Delmarva's June 7th technical conference with staff and DPA. Then, from early June to early September, the company monitored the sales and revenues that were being generated as a result of the changed circumstances. In late September and through mid-October, Delmarva continued to apprise staff and DPA of the under-recovery situation, as well as discuss and decide the appropriate course of action.
What else did the company set forth in its amended application?
The company requested that the commission waive the 60-day notice requirement pursuant to Title 26 of the Delaware Code, Section 304A, which would allow the proposed rate changes in the amended filing to go into effect on or after on or after December 1st, 2022.
Does the company believe that it has good cause to request a waiver of the 60-day notice requirement?
Yes, if the 60-day notice requirement waiver is granted, the proposed PCA components of the applicable SOS supply service charges would become effective on a temporary basis, December 1st, 2022, subject to refund pending the Commission's final decision. If the waiver of the 60-day notice requirement is not granted, the rates set forth in the amended filing would instead go into effect on January 1st, 2023.
If the waiver is granted and the amended rates go into effect on December 1, 2022, how will the under-recovery balance be impacted?
The amended filing includes a forecasted scenario that would add approximately $8 million to the PCA calculation based on an estimated 12 months of kilowatt-hour sales. If the new PCA component of the SOS tariff are permitted to go into effect on 12/1/2022, then the company will collect an estimated $4 million out of the total $8 million through May 2023. If the waiver is not granted and the amended rate goes into effect 1 month later on 1/1/23 instead, then the company forecasts that it will collect approximately $700,000 less over the shorter time period. therefore that under recovery balance would need to be added to the June 1st, 2023 annual SOS PCA rate update. Therefore, to avoid the larger under recovery mentioned above, the company requests the waiver of the 60-day notice requirement so that rates can go into effect on December 1, 2022.
And how does this requested rate change affect customers?
Granting the 60-day waiver and adjusting the rates sooner avoids a larger under-recovery balance for the 2023 rates. This proactive adjustment will help create more rate stability and smooth costs for the medium to large commercial and industrial customers using standard offer service.
And do you have any further testimony at this time, Mr. Cohen?
No.
Mr. Cohen's available for cross-examination.
No questions.
No questions.
Thank you much. Mr. Davis, you are representing staff.
So I've been told. With your permission, I've got to have a little humor. With your
Yeah.
permission, I'll call Ms. Willie to the stand on behalf of staff, please, and ask that she be sworn.
Yes.
Ms. Willie, could you state your full name and business address for the record, please?
My name is Amy Willey, Willey. My business address is 861 Silver Lake Boulevard, Suite 100, Dover, Delaware.
And by whom are you employed, and what position do you hold?
I am employed by the Delaware Public Service Commission as a public utility analyst.
Could you briefly describe your educational and professional background?
I have earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Management from Wilmington University. I have been employed with the Public Service Commission for over 3 years as a public utility analyst. I also have over 12 years contract sales experience, which included but was not limited to the analysis and preparation of various financial documents.
With regard to this docket, what role did you take?
I was the case manager for this docket filing.
And can you briefly describe what this proceeding involves?
Yes, this proceeding today is one to request the Commission suspend the evidentiary hearing noticed for today, November 2nd, for approving the SOS PCA WROM rates as final, and two, to ask the Commission to approve the request from Delmarva for a waiver to the 60-day notice to implement the interim updated PCA rate charges on December 1st, 2022, and not January 1st, 2023. And number three, to request the Commission approve the interim updated PCA rate charge on a temporary basis with proration and subject to refund with interest.
Could you explain, in your opinion, why the Commission should approve the waiver of the 60-day notice under Section 304?
Yes. Delmarva bills these large commercial and industrial customers at the rates that were temporarily approved in order number 10002, but is paying spot market prices to procure the incremental energy for the customers that migrated back to SOS from this retail electric supplier. Because energy prices have increased, this will likely result in an increase in the PCA balance, which is not scheduled to be reset again until June 1st, 2023. Also, the current temporary rates set in place June 1st, 2022 for GSP and HPS customers currently have a negative PCA rate of 0.00815 and $0.003361 respectively. And this amended filing will increase the GSP PCA rate to $0.02251 and the HPS PC rate to $0.007948. A delay in the implementation of the revised PCA rates will cause the company to collect less of the out-of-cycle interim rate amounts, which will result in a larger under-recovery of the PCA balances.
Please explain the October 2020 amended application as you understand it.
On October 20, 2022, Delmarva made an amended filing to request implementation of an interim rate change to the procurement cost adjustment, PCA, rates. The amended SOS PCA WRM filing is called. Effective for usage on or after December 1st, 2022 for the medium general service secondary, MGS, large general service, LGS, and general service primary, GSP, service classifications, as well as customers served under hourly price service, HPS. According to Delmarva, customers served on service classification MGS will experience an increase in their bills within the range of 2.15% to 3.99%. Customers served on service classification LGS will experience an increase on their bills within the range of 2.16% to 3.48%. Customers served on service classification GSP will experience an increase on their bills within the range of 2.89% to 40.08%. And the amount of the increase for these customers, as well as HPS, will depend upon their load and usage characteristics.
Can you further explain why the amendment was filed?
At the beginning of the Delaware SOS Annual Filing Rate Technical Conference on Tuesday, June 7th, 2022, the company presented a staff briefing in regard to a retail electric supplier dropping a number of large commercial and industrial customers and those customers migrating back to SOS and/or HPS in May of 2022. The largest impact has been to DPL Delaware, where approximately 2,100 customers were moved back to SOS. Staff, the DPA, and the company met on October 4th, October 10th, and October 12th, prior to the amended filing submission on October 20th, 2022. At these meetings, Delmarva presented to staff and DPA the actual under-recovered balances through August 2022 and the forecasted under-recovered balances through May of 2023.
Has a date been set for the evidentiary hearing to consider the final rates on this docket?
Yes, all parties have agreed that the new date will be February 1, 2023, and will be published with the interim rate public notice.
Can you summarize your recommendation to the Commission?
Staff respectfully recommends that the Commission approve the amended procurement cost adjustment rates to go into effect on a temporary basis, subject to refund with interest on December 1st, 2022, with proration for the period from December 1, 2022 to May 31, 2023. Staff also respectfully recommends that the Commission approve the request to waive the 60-day notice for this proposed rate change.
And in your opinion, do you believe the interim rates are just and reasonable and in the public interest?
Yes, I do.
Do you have anything further that you would like to bring before the Commission at this time?
No, I do not.
That concludes staff's testimony. Ms. Woolley is available for any questions that the Commissioners may have or any other party to this proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Acting Chair, this is Commissioner Gray, if you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for Ms. Willie.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Hello, Amy. When you are adjusting this rate, is this rate to apply only for the commercial and industrial customers who were sent back to Delmarva, or is this to be socialized as a rate across the entire rate base?
It is for the large and industrial customers. Residential is not affected.
Okay, but these are the ones that were sent back to Delmarva from the independent suppliers?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I think that clarifies my answer. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Commissioner Gray.
With your permission, Madam Acting Chair, I'd like to have Ms. Woolley's memorandum of October 25, 2022. Did I say that right? 2022? Gee, there's too many twos. Marked as an exhibit in this proceeding. Thank you.
Thank you.
And entered. Sorry, marked and entered.
No objection, so it's
No
entered.
objection.
No objections. If I may, Madam Acting Chair, Mr. Cohen and I heard Ms. Willie differently, so I just wanted to clarify. May we make one clarification on the record with respect to the returning classes and how the rate will affect the various classes, Bob, Mr. Cohen, if you wouldn't mind?
Yeah, just to make sure to say it the way it makes sense to me, to respond to Commissioner Gray's question, the rate change will affect all customers under the MGS, LGS, GSP, and HPS service classifications, not just the ones, there is no separate category for the ones that returned separately recently.
But as Ms. Willie stated, this will not affect the residential customers. So just wanted to make sure that we're all saying the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that clarification.
Ms. Iori, the DPA.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair and Commissioners. The DPA does not have a witness. We support the proposed form of order and request the Commission to enter it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the other commissioners? All right, then I guess we're going to need a motion to adopt order number 10127.
I move
So
that.
moved.
Second. And now a second, please.
I second it.
All right, any questions on the motion? There being none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Commissioner Correa?
Aye.
Commissioner Drexler?
Aye.
Chair Winslow?
Aye.
Commissioner Gray?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Are there any members of the public here who would like to make comment? There being none, we'll move to administrative matters. Director's comments.
Thank you, Madam.
Hello?
Hi. My name's Adam Foreman from Mitchell Estates.
From where, I'm sorry?
I'm a resident of Mitchell Estates in Newcastle County, Delaware.
Okay. And you'd like to make public comment?
Yes, if I may, I'd like to just take a moment to talk about natural gas in our community. I'm going to say thank you to the Commission and to Delmarva Power for all the time they put into an effort into getting the gas proposal passed. I know it wasn't easy and it took a lot of effort, but it doesn't go unnoticed, and the residents of the community are appreciative, and we look forward to getting gas in the community. I know it was a unique situation. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Are there any others who would like to make public comment? All right. Mr. Hart.
Madam Chair, not as a public, but I just want to express our gratitude to DPA for that last comment. Mr. Foreman mentioned Delmarva Power, but it was also done very much with Mr. Slade. I want to make sure he got credit as well.
I appreciate that.
Thank you. Mr. Hardigan.
Thank you, Madam Acting Chair. Just wanted to note and hope everyone votes next week. Wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you all on November 30th.
I forgot that we wouldn't be back before Thanksgiving. All right, and the next commission meeting will be Wednesday, November 30th. Are there any other comments? Meeting adjourned.